Imagine your money. It's not just, numbers sitting in an account somewhere. Think of it more like a quiet force, actually shaping the world around us. Have you ever stopped, really considered the ripple effect of where your investments go? And beyond just the financial returns, what kind of impact are they actually having? It seems like for a lot of us now, getting our financial decisions to line up with our personal values isn't just a passing thought anymore. It's becoming, a really deliberate choice.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to try and cut through some of the noise, maybe the jargon, around ethical investment and corporate sustainability. We want to give you a bit of a shortcut to understanding these ideas. We've pulled together your sources, we've got insights from a fund manager, some pretty solid definitions, frameworks from key indexes. The idea is to help you grasp what it really means to invest with purpose, beyond just the traditional bottom line. So in this deep dive, you should get a much clearer picture of the core concepts. We'll look at how ethical funds actually make their decisions.
We'll also unpack a really quite detailed definition of corporate sustainability and see how performance in this increasingly important area is measured. So let's get into how the financial world seems to be shifting, reflecting maybe changing global awareness.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area. And what's really striking is how much it has shifted, We seem to be moving past simple checklists. It's becoming a much more integrated, thoughtful way of looking at where capital goes. It really speaks to this growing feeling that a company's financial health isn't separate from its wider impact on society and the environment. They're linked.
That's a really good way to put it, linked.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with the basics then. What exactly is ethical investment? At its core, our sources seem to frame it as a very deliberate act. You're putting money into companies that actively try to align with certain ethical principles. And a big part of that, it seems, is avoiding industries that are, widely seen as harmful. It's about choosing with your values first.
Precisely, yeah. And we have a good concrete example for you. We heard from George Unwin. He manages an ethical investment fund, and he put it very directly. He said, people and organizations who put their money into our fund want us to invest it in ethical ways. And then he added, we want to avoid companies that have a bad record on social and environmental issues. This whole avoidance strategy, sometimes called negative screening, it really is a foundational thing for many ethical funds. Sets a clear line.
Right, it's the what we don't do. And it's not just vague, is it? Like bad record. Unwin's fund, for instance, gets really specific, which I think is helpful. He actually names the industries they just won't touch. Tobacco, arms manufacturers, and companies involved in nuclear power or uranium. That kind of clear screening gives investors transparency, doesn't it? They know exactly where their money won't end up. It's like a boundary.
Exactly. But then that raises a key point. Is ethical investing only about what you avoid? And our sources, including Unwin, make it clear it goes further than just that negative screen. His fund, he says, also looks closely at how they are managed. And this brings in that crucial idea of corporate governance. The thinking behind it is basically that well-managed companies make better investments. Good governance isn't just about ethics, per se. It's also seen as a way to guard against hidden risks, potential scandals, things that could hurt the investment and the company's reputation long term.
Ah, okay. So it's not just what the company makes or sells, but how it operates, how it's run from the top down. That feels like a really important distinction. But this idea of ethical investment, even with the governance piece, it feels like it's kind of blossomed into something bigger, right? More comprehensive over time. What's been driving that change?
Oh, absolutely. It definitely has. And that leads us nicely into the broader concept. Socially responsible investment, or SRI. You can think of SRI as maybe the next step, or a wider movement. It actively tries to integrate both ethical and sustainability factors into investment choices. So you're looking at the traditional financial returns, but also the wider social and environmental impact. It's a more holistic view. It acknowledges that these things aren't really separate. They're actually deeply connected to whether a company can succeed long term. As for what's driving it, probably a mix of things. Growing global awareness around climate change, social issues, corporate accountability, plus just more people wanting their investments to actually reflect what they care about.
That makes total sense. It's like the financial world is finally catching up to the idea that a company's impact is actually part of its intrinsic value. And you mentioned that central to this whole SRI movement is this really robust idea of corporate sustainability. This isn't just some buzzword, is it? It seems to be a pretty well-defined approach. According to the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, The DJSI corporate sustainability means, and I'm quoting here, integrating long-term economic, environmental, and social aspects into their business strategies while maintaining global competitiveness and brand reputation. That definition feels quite weighty, doesn't it? It suggests this is embedded in how a company does business, not just some add-on.
Absolutely. It's systemic. And when you look at that definition, it really highlights how much more complex, how much more comprehensive corporate sustainability is compared to just, say, avoiding controversial products. And the DJSI doesn't just define it, they actually break it down further into 5 key pillars. These pillars give you a kind of 360-degree view of what a truly sustainable, maybe future-proof company looks like. It's moving from just reacting and avoiding to proactively integrating.
Okay, let's dig into those 5 pillars then, because they really seem to map out the expectations for businesses today. First one is strategy. So this means the company isn't just, talking the talk, it's genuinely building these long-term economic, environmental, and social considerations right into its core business plan. The aim is both global competitiveness and protecting its brand reputation. So it's like the values are baked in, guiding the big decisions.
Exactly, not just window dressing. Then you've got the financial pillar. Now, this obviously covers meeting shareholder demands for decent financial returns, long-term growth, the usual stuff. But crucially, it also demands open communication and really transparent financial accounting. So it's about growth, yes, but responsible, sustainable growth, where clear, honest reporting is just as vital as the profit number itself, building on a solid foundation, you could say.
Okay, third pillar, customer and product. This seems to be about building loyalty through good customer relationship management, sure, but also through innovation and products and services. The key difference here, though, is that the innovation needs to be efficient, effective, and economical in how it uses resources, financial, natural, and social over the long haul. So smart resource use, creating value sustainably, building relationships that aren't just extractive.
Right. And this loops right back to what George Unwin was saying about management. The 4th pillar, governance and stakeholder engagement. This is all about setting really high standards for corporate governance and actively engaging with all stakeholders, not just shareholders. It includes having strong corporate codes of conduct and being open through public reporting. What's really clear here is how it underlines that core idea again. Strong ethical governance isn't just vital for ethical investment. It's actually the bedrock of broader corporate sustainability. It's the framework holding it all together.
Yeah, that connection comes through really clearly. It shows how these ideas fit together. Okay, and the 5th pillar.
The 5th is human. This focuses entirely on how a company manages its people, its human resources. It's about maintaining the skills and capabilities of the workforce, keeping employees satisfied, and doing that through best-in-class learning opportunities, knowledge sharing, and fair pay and benefits. Basically, valuing and investing in the people who drive the company forward. Recognizing that a sustainable business needs a sustainable, engaged workforce.
Wow. Those 5 pillars together paint a really comprehensive picture, don't they?
They really do. They help us understand a company's long-term health, its viability, its ethical grounding in a much deeper way. And for you, the listener, getting your head around these details helps you see why these factors are becoming so valuable to investors. It's not just about doing good. It's increasingly seen as a genuine sign of a company's resilience, its ability to adapt and perform well into the future. Investing in companies built to thrive, not just survive.
Okay, so we've traced the path from that initial idea of ethical investment, avoiding the bad stuff, through to the wider SRI movement. And then we really unpack this detailed framework of corporate sustainability with those 5 pillars. But, for investors to actually use this, to have confidence in it, there needs to be a way to measure it all, right? To track performance. It's one thing to define it, but how do you actually quantify something so multifaceted?
Exactly. That's where the indexes come in. They provide the necessary benchmarks. Our sources point to a couple of major ones. In the UK, there's the FTSE 4 Good. This index specifically lists companies deemed to be ethically managed, meeting strict criteria on social, environmental, and governance issues. It lets investors track how these companies perform as a group. It's a key transparency tool.
And then globally, or perhaps more U.S. focused, but with global reach, you have the Dow Jones Sustainability Index, yes, the DJSI we mentioned earlier. These indexes, like the DJSI World or DJSI Stocks, are really well known. They include companies recognized for strong corporate sustainability practices based on those 5 pillars we discussed. They act as a kind of global standard.
Yeah, and their role is really significant. These indexes do more than just list names. They provide, as one source put it, the overall value of the share prices of the ethical firms, so a collective performance measure. And importantly, they allow investors to compare the performance of individual firms against them. This encourages competition, hopefully driving better practices across the board. Ultimately, it pushes for more transparency, more accountability, and it allows for much more informed and hopefully more impactful investment decisions in this whole SRI space. It's how the market kind of polices itself, in a way.
What a journey we've covered today. Really quite something. We started with that basic concept, ethical investment focus on avoidance, hearing from people like George Unwin. Then we saw how it broadened into SRI, this more proactive movement, underpinned by that really quite detailed framework of corporate sustainability, broken down into those 5 interconnected pillars: strategy, financial, customer product, governance, and human. And finally, we saw how this performance is actually tracked and made visible through major indexes like FTSE4 Good and the DJSI. So you can actually see what's happening.
And understanding these different pieces, these distinctions, really gives you a powerful shortcut. It helps you become much better informed about what is genuinely a major shift happening in the financial world. It empowers you, really, to understand how companies are being judged now beyond just the traditional profit and loss. You get to see a bigger, more complete picture of what value means.
So as you think about everything we've discussed in this deep dive, maybe leave with this thought. If corporate sustainability is genuinely about weaving economic, environmental, and social factors into the very core of a business for long-term value, what does that mean for how we define a successful company over the next, say, 10 years? Could a company that's hugely profitable but, I don't know, environmentally damaging or socially irresponsible, will it still be seen as truly successful in the future? And how might that shift in perspective really start to reshape the global economy? And maybe more personally, your own financial future. Something to definitely chew on as you consider the real power behind your money.